Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Hello. Morning. Outstanding on this beautiful sunny morning. It's not exactly. Hopefully it'll blow off pretty soon. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to the Country Club. We do this meeting quarterly for our new residents. My name is Tom Judson. I am in charge of the POA. Selena Lee, did I say your last name right? She is in charge of the ACC. And Doug Fowler is sitting in for Mayor Flynn. Mayor Flynn had a funeral to attend. So Doug is our mayor pro tem. He's on the city council, so he's sitting in. So we're going to talk about what we term as the three-legged stool, and we'll teach you about that. We'll talk about a lot of the amenities that we have, and then we'll have a Q&A where you can ask questions. And then we all three of us will hang out after the meeting if you have a private question that you want to ask us, okay? But thank you so much for coming. What we're going to do is we're going to start with Dale. Dale is in charge of our local museum, and he's going to give us a brief history of Bella Vista.
Thank you, Tom. Welcome to our wonderful community. We're very glad to have you here. I've got 2 minutes to tell you the history. And if I whet your appetite a little bit, please come by our museum, which is now back to its pre-COVID hours of 1 to 5, Wednesday through Sunday. These rugged hills around you were the hunting and fishing grounds of Native Americans for thousands of years. But it really didn't see permanent human habitation until after the American Civil War. Then small farms began to pop up in the valleys and the hollows and around the springs. Then in 1915, because the area was so isolated and so undeveloped, the Baker family decided it would be a great place for a summer resort. They built the first dam across Little Sugar Creek and established the name Bella Vista and began to build the resort. They were not successful, and in 1917, the property was purchased by the Linebarger brothers from Texas who had grown up in Bentonville. They built the resort into the story that we tell in the museum, the major part of our story. This was a real happening place in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and up until 1952, when the Linebargers ended their time here and sold the property to Mr. E.L. Keith, who kept the resort going for another 10 years. Then in the early 1960s, John Cooper Sr. and Cooper Communities decided that this would be a great place for a retirement recreational community. So beginning in the early 60s, he not only bought the resort property down around where Lake Bella Vista once was, but he also bought all the small farms leading up to the Missouri line to our north with the idea of establishing a retirement recreational community. The cornerstone of that community would be the building you are now sitting in, which was designed by the architect Fay Jones, who was a disciple, a student of Frank Lloyd Wright. The first homes would be developed around it, as would the other lakes, the golf courses, and eventually in 2006, the village of Bella Vista, as it would be known, would decide to become the city of Bella Vista, and in 2007, we officially became that city. And I'm sure Mr. Fowler will correct me, but I believe there are over 30,000 of us now.
There are over 30, you're correct.
Yeah, so we have grown into quite a special place. And these folks are going to tell you a little bit about why this is such a special place. I am a retired National Park Service historian ranger, and we chose this place specifically to spend the rest of our lives. And you're going to hear a little bit about why here in a few seconds. I will be at the table. Zita and I, my co-president of the Historical Society, wrote a book during COVID, which is a pictorial history of our community. And so with the sale of it, all proceeds go to the museum. We are an all-volunteer organization, and I urge you to come by. And if you're interested, please come talk to me later. Thank you.
When we go along, we'll try and field all the questions at the end of the presentation. But if you do give us a question, what we're going to do is we're going to repeat those back so the Bella Vista TV can hear that. All right, we're going to start. If you can pull up this sheet, it's got the logos for the city, the POA, and the ACC on top. It looks like this. So in many cities that you move to, or maybe cities that you're from, the city was in charge of the parks. Maybe they had a golf course. They were in charge of the water utility. They were in charge of the sewer and so forth. So in many cities, they're in charge of all those different things. In Bella Vista, we have a three-legged stool. Okay, so the first one on the far left-hand side is the city of Bella Vista, and Doug Fowler is here representing the city. The city briefly is in charge of the police, the fire department, the streets department, building codes and so forth. So that's what the city does. The ACC, and Selena is here, they're in charge of the aesthetics. They want to make sure that your neighbor doesn't park his RV in front of on the street for 2 months straight, or they don't paint their home bubblegum pink, or something to that nature. So they take care of those types of things. And then the POA, I term it, is we are the fun department. We are in charge of the lakes, the golf courses, just about all those things, tennis courts, this building, many of the restaurants in Bella Vista. So we're the fun department, and we have a lot of fun doing that, taking care of everybody. So that's the three-legged stool. Now on top of that, the POA is also in charge of the water utility, the sewer. Most of you are probably on septic. But some of you are on sewer. Sewer is covered by village wastewater, and they're a completely different entity. And then you have the power company like Carroll Electric and so forth. So you have other entities involved, but the big three are the three of us, and that's why we greet you, because it can be confusing. Our Member Resources Department, which you went to either at Metfield or at Huntley, we received over 40,000 calls a year, and half of those have nothing to do with the POA. But we do our best to make sure that we give you the right telephone number and send you in the right direction. The city and the ACC equally get a lot of calls that go to them that really belong to another entity. So we try and educate people, but it can be confusing at times. So this sheet should help you a little bit. This sheet is available on all three of our websites, and we implemented this sheet back in 2016, and it's helped to reduce the confusion. Okay? So I'm already up here, so I'm going to keep on talking. All right, the next sheet we're going to talk about is this one, and it's got the map. Okay? So it's got some great pictures on front. And we're going to talk about our amenities. So all too often when I'm speaking with residents, with members, they'll talk about, well, I didn't know we had this, I didn't know we had that, and so forth. And all too often, the person's lived here 5 or 10 years, and they just didn't realize. You get into your little neighborhood, you stay in your neighborhood, and you don't go outside of it. So we have so much to offer, and we want to make sure that you're aware of it. Okay, so we're going to start on the far left side, which is the west side. So the far left side, you see the little target number 43. That is our gun range. So if you're into that, we have pistol, rifle, skeet, and trap. So if you want to go out there and practice, if you want to do skeet and trap, which is kind of a lot of fun, go out there and enjoy yourself. We're going to go a little bit north and to the east, and you'll see Highlands. So Highlands is one of our golf courses. We have 5 18-hole golf courses and 2 9-hole golf courses. So this is one of our 18-hole golf courses. Also at that location, we have Highlands Pub and Pizzeria. So you can go up there, you can get pizza, you can get a beer. They have an outstanding deck that overlooks one of the lakes on the golf courses. So it's a great place to go out and enjoy a pizza and a beer. We also have a pool table there, a dartboard, shuffleboard table, and we always have the games on, so forth. Branchwood, which is a little bit further to the east, that's one of our biggest fitness center. So it's our only indoor pool. We do fitness classes there and so forth. Also at that location, we have 6 pickleball courts, which is a lot of people are really, really into pickleball these days. So we have 6 courts, and they're They're less than 2 years old. We also have a 1.5 mile walking trail, but it's not for the faint of heart because it goes way down and then going back up is kind of a drag. But there's a lot of benches along the way. Yes, sir.
Which facility was this?
This is Branchwood. And in addition to the walking trail, along that same walking trail, we have a disc golf course, which was recently rated in the top 10 of the state. So it's a really good quality course if you're into that, so forth. All right, now we're going to go straight south, and you're going to see Loch Lomond. It's our largest lake in the community. And at that location, you're going to see Lake Point. So the POA manages 3 restaurants. We have Lake Point, which is on Loch Lomond. We have this building, this restaurant here, which is BV Bar and Grill, and then the pizzeria that we told you about up at Highlands. Lake Point is probably our crown jewel. It's right on the water. It's a great wedding venue. We have a pergola there where you can get married, and we have a wine tasting room there. So it's a pretty neat setup, and it is absolutely the $1 million view with the sun coming down over the mountains. You can see the water. It's just a great setting. So go there. Also in season, that's where we have our marina. You can get fuel, you can rent a kayak, you can rent a fishing boat, a pontoon boat, and the prices, they're very, very affordable. So every once in a while, when my kids are in town, we'll rent a boat, and it just makes it easier. We also have a nice fishing dock there, so great activity over there. All right, now we're going to go over to Scottsdale. Scottsdale is another one of our 18-hole golf courses. It's really a nice pro shop, one of the smaller pro shops, but you can get a beer there, you can get a brat, and you can sit on the deck. We expanded that deck during COVID, and that overlooks the 18th hole, and it's just a great place. Allison and I will go there. Don't have to golf to enjoy that deck. It's just a great place to go enjoy yourself. All right, next is the beach. The beach is one of our most popular amenities. We put it in 18. It's great for the kids and the grandkids. It's a full beach. We bring in sand. We have a swim line that crosses the lake so that no boats can come into that area. They have this little lily pad that the kids swim out to and jump on and have a great time. At that same location, we have a beach volleyball court. And we also have a zip line that you can go on, and I have personally weight tested it, so it's safe for just about every kid out there, and so it's just a great place. It's also a neat pavilion, so if you want a family outing, you go down there, you can use the pavilion for a picnic, kids can play on the playground equipment, you can have a beach volleyball tournament, and then they swim in the water. We also, at that location, we rent kayaks and sup boards. And then we have a little hut there, and I always say that hut sells every form of sugar that the kid needs. Candy bars, ice cream, everything. We want to wind them up even more so than they are. So, and the jokes don't get any better. All right, moving over to Tanyard Creek. So Tanyard Creek, if you're new to the area, of course you're new to the area. If any family comes into town and you want to go on a hike, Tanyard Creek, so that's where you want to go. It's a really short, relatively flat hike. You can make it longer if you want. So it's a great place. It's got a great waterfall view. So if you're going to bring family into town, take them there. Also at that same location, we have our largest golf practice center. Last year we did 65,000 buckets of balls at that location, and it's in our 5-year plan. It's one of the locations that we are looking to renovate next year because it's no longer meeting our needs. Years ago we used to do 20,000 buckets of balls. Now we're doing 65,000. So it's busting at the gills. All right, we're going to go north of that, and you're going to see BV Bar and Grill. You're going to see that logo that says BVCC. So that's the Bella Vista Country Club, and Dale talked about this building was designed by Ife Jones. and E.F. Jones founded the University of Arkansas School of Architecture. So we're really in a neat place. We've brought architects into this building, and they constantly are looking up and around and everything. And it's just, they're amazed by the beauty of this building. So we also have one of our largest pro shops here. It's an award-winning pro shop. So if you're looking for gifts and so forth, you can go in there. The restaurant will open at 11. So when we're done speaking with you, if you wanted to go grab lunch, feel free to do so. All right, we're gonna jump straight south. You're gonna see Kingsdale. Kingsdale has an 18-hole golf course, and it also has a 9-hole golf course. In addition, at that location, we have our tennis center with 8 tennis courts and a tennis pro shop. We also have our largest outdoor pool complex, and then Reardon Hall. Reardon Hall is not open right now because we're doing a major renovation. It's a $5 million renovation of that building. We hope to open towards the end of this year, which will be its 50th anniversary of that building. It really needed a lot of work. I tell people prior to the renovation, we had absolutely nailed the 1970s nursing home look. Just nailed it. So we're really looking to do a major renovation of that building. In April or May, we will start doing tours. We've done that for all of our renovations. We renovated this building in 17. We did Lake Point in 16. And during construction, what we'll do is we'll ask the contractor to kind of give us a nice path, and we'll invite the membership out, and we'll take you around. You can ask questions. At the end of the day, this is your money that we're spending to renovate this building. So we want you to be a part of it, get excited about it, see what we're doing. At that building, we're going to double the size of our fitness center. For many of you, you maybe haven't even been in the building. So when I say doubling the size of our fitness center, you're like, okay, well, I haven't been there. It's great. But it's going to be, we're really pleased with it. When we were interviewing the architects, we took them to Branchwood, and we showed them around Branchwood, and we said, this is about the look and the feel that we want for Reardon Hall. So that's about what we're looking to do. Kingsdale, Reardon Hall, all that, it's really a hub of activity. All right, we're going to now jump all the way to the right-hand side of the map, and you're going to see Metfield. That's another center of activity. We have an 18-hole golf course over there, Dogwood, a 9-hole golf course, which is Brittany. We have a little snack bar there. We have our smallest fitness center is at that location. And then just down the way is a park. We have our second largest outdoor pool facility at that location. And also, that is the beginning of the Razorback Greenway. It's one of the offshoots of the Razorback Greenway. The Razorback Greenway, if you haven't heard about it, is a 10-foot wide concrete path, so you can get on that path at Metfield and go 40 miles south all the way to Fayetteville without having to worry about traffic and cars and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really neat thing that it goes straight through our community. This path is fully funded by the Walton Family Foundation. The Walton Family Foundation has put in, over the years, $18 million in infrastructure in our community. Trails, mainly soft surface trails and hard surface trails. So we're really fortunate to have that. All right, we're going to come all the way south and you're going to see the Gear Garden. So at that location, it's another hub of activity. We have Blowing Springs RV Park. We also have primitive camping, which is you sleep on the ground, which is I don't understand. Why do you want to do that? We also have the tiny cabins, which are really cool. They are these small cabins. Literally, they're tiny. And so we get a lot of people that come in from out of state. They want to use the bike trails, because Blowing Springs, we kind of call it the gateway to our trails. We have 107 miles of soft surface trails, and that's really where you can kind of start. and begin your journey. It's really a neat amenity that we have to have 107 miles. You go to most communities, if they have 2 or 3 miles, they're really puffing their chest out. Hey, we got 3 miles of trails. We have 107, so it's pretty neat. And also, one of my favorite locations there is the Gear Garden, which will be opening up in the middle of April. It's a beer garden, and it's right next to the Razorback Greenway. It's one of the popular locations. During the summertime, the canopy, the tree canopy, which is so nice there, it cools it down, so it's about 10 degrees cooler than everybody else, and the beer just helps it along the way. And then also in that same general area, if you know where Casey's is, and Dairy Queen, you'll see that we're constructing a brand new park right behind Casey's. That park is going to have a looping trail, which is already in. It's going to have a parking lot, and eventually the greenway will actually go through and terminate at that location. We're going to have a nice playground there. A couple years ago, we had a vote. We had a kids' night here, and we had the kids vote on whether they wanted a normal standard playground, very colorful with swings and so forth, or whether they wanted boulders and logs and kind of more of a natural playground. And they overwhelmingly decided that they wanted kind of a more natural one with logs and stuff that they climb on and have some fun. So that park, all that construction that's going on is being fully funded by the Walton Family Foundation. So they've really been great stewards and great for us in our community. So that is all of Bella Vista. The last thing I want to tell you about is the activity card. If you have not yet purchased an activity card, you want to do that. It costs $30 a year, and with that, you're going to get free use of our gym facilities, free use of the pools, the beach, free entrance into the gun range. Now, if you use the skeet and trap, you're going to have to pay for those clay targets, but you get free admission into there. At the restaurants, you're going to get 10% off your food. We're not going to give you a discount on your alcohol because you're going to buy it anyways. And then if you're into golf, it's free green fees at Brittany Golf Course. You still got to pay for the cart, but free green fees and free range balls. So that's the main reason why we went several years ago. We went from 20,000 buckets of balls to now 65,000 buckets of balls because it's free. What's interesting though is all those people are hitting balls, but the average round has not gone down. I'm not seeing any improvement in the scores. So, and that's it about Bella Vista. I'm going to turn it over to Doug Fowler, who represents the city, and they have regular meetings, and I encourage you to go attend, be a part of our community. I think that's really important. The Bella Vista Board of Directors, we meet monthly, and we usually have 5 or less people in attendance out of 32,000 some odd people. So become involved, volunteer, and go to the city meetings also. There you go.
All right, thank you, Tom. So first of all, I'm pinch hitting today. Mayor John Flynn and his wife, they had a family issue. They've been out of town for, I think, most of last week, and he'll be coming back tomorrow. So he called me a couple days ago and asked if I would be willing to fill in. Of course, I was. He gave me, a couple of ideas, a couple of things to talk about. Other than that, I just kind of scratched some notes down. So I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go. So bear with me. Concerning city council meetings, I wanted to say this before because I didn't write a note on this. The work sessions are the third Monday every month at 5:30, and they will be now at the new city court building in the new public safety complex. We're just going to move over this month, so we're going to start utilizing that new facility. And the city council meetings are the fourth Monday of every month at 6:30 in the same facility. So I wanted to say it up front just in case you would be interested in attending. So again, my name is Doug Fowler. A little bit of a background. I moved to Bella Vista 16 years ago. I live over by Scottsdale Golf Course, down kind of below the Loch Lomond Dam. If anyone knows where the golf cart tunnel is, that goes from number 10 to number 11 at the golf course underneath Scottsdale. I live the street just before that, up the hill to the left. So 16 years ago, my wife and I, we were living in the Dallas, Texas area, and youngest daughter graduated from high school, and we both kind of looked at each other and we said, are you ready to go? And we both, yes, I think we are. We had a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, no family. Both my wife and I were from the state of Missouri. I grew up across the state line up here at Seneca and Monett, Missouri, if anyone knows where that is, but it's very close. They're both within an hour of here. So we both knew we wanted to kind of get back up to this part of the country eventually, right? I'm kind of getting toward the back end of my work life, and I think probably a lot of people can relate to that. They're in this room right now, maybe not everybody. And we knew we wanted to get back up here, and I worked for Kraft Foods, and we have a huge team in this area, that works on the Walmart team. And being a career of 30 years at that time, I knew a lot of people across the country, a lot of contacts, and I made a contact and said, look, we'd like to get back up there if that's possible. Two months later, we were moving here. And the only place we considered moving was Bella Vista. I had an uncle and aunt that lived here. My grandfather had lived here, so I had familiarity. Didn't really care about Bentonville or Rogers or Springdale. They're nice towns, they're nice cities, but we were just kind of tired of that drill, if you will. So I worked for 5 years, additional, with Kraft Foods when I moved here. That little email hit one day, and there was this little package that was available, and it took me about 2 minutes to make a decision that I was done. It was all great. It was all wonderful. I don't have anything bad to say about my career. I don't know what else I would have done. Provided very well for my family and myself, so I was very grateful. But it was time to transition to like another phase of life, right? So I've been done for 10 years now. The first 4 years, 5 years, I did what a lot of people do, things you desire to do, your whole career as you're working. And then a friend of mine called me and said, Doug, I don't know if you're aware or not, but there is a city council seat that has come open. The gentleman is moving. Elections are coming up. He goes, I think you should consider this. I think you'd be good at it. Now, I don't know how good I am at it, but I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. Ran the first time, was elected. Did 4 years. I'm now in my second term, so I'm 6 years into my term, into being a city council member. And I am really glad I did it. It is challenging. What you find out is, people are either on one side of the fence or the other side of the fence. So it's kind of a tight line to walk, but we try to figure out how to do that. So city council for 6 years, and I'm also the chairperson for the Bella Vista Advertising Promotion Commission. And what we do is we collect a 1% tax on prepared food and a 2% tax on short-term rentals. And that's how we fund our AMP. And we're responsible for marketing, branding, and the promotion of Bella Vista. So I don't know how people in this room found out about Bella Vista, but it could have been through some of the marketing that we did through the Advertising Promotion Commission. And we started that commission from the ground floor, right? And we had to build it from the very beginning. And it took a lot of time. It was a lot of work, but I'm pretty proud of the position that we're in right now and where we are with the operation. And actually, Tom is on that commission as well, the AMP. So that's a little bit of my background. Okay, so the city. I don't know if this was brought up. I'm going to probably say a couple things that were already said, because I'm not going to remember everything that was said, and I don't want to step on something else. But if it was not already said, Bella Vista incorporated as a city in 2007, and that was just about the time that I moved here. So basically, the city was the POA, right? A private organization, managing all the amenities, the fire, the police, the streets, et cetera. Well, when the city incorporated, the city took over those responsibilities. We did not obviously take over and develop a Parks and Recreations department or anything like that, because that's all held with the POA. And Tom, if I misspeak on anything, please let me know. And when we did incorporate, I had the mayor of Bentonville, who I knew very well. His name was Bob McCaslin. Ironically enough, he was my district manager when I worked out of Memphis, Tennessee. And here we were, like 30 years later, and he's Mayor Bentonville, and I'm moving up to Northwest Arkansas. But he said, Doug, when you think about Bella Vista incorporating as a city, it was a lot like trying to build a basement underneath a house that's already built, right? You have to put in all this, all these departments. You have to think about your infrastructure. You had to transition all these things over. You had to develop city budgets, departments, and everything else. Our first mayor was Frank Anderson, and he served as a mayor for 8 years, and we were really very fortunate to have him. He did a terrific job. And then the mayor for the next 8 years was Peter Christie. And his term just ended last December, so now the new mayor again is John Flynn. But we had two, I think, really important people in what will be the early history of the city of Bella Vista. They both did a really terrific job, putting everything together. Whenever they put the city together, it all happened really quickly, right? They had to do zoning of the entire city, R1, R2, R3, C1, C2, C3, et cetera, and on. And also, when they put our city ordinances together, I think a lot of it was kind of looking at what other cities had, and it was kind of a cut and paste kind of a thing. And so over the last, whatever we are now, 16, 17 years of being a city, there's still a lot, I want to call it cleanup going on, because it was done so quickly. Now we know who we are, so we're having to kind of customize things to us and our needs and what we're doing. Okay, so that's a continuing process. I was trying to see. Okay, so got to get back to my other point here. As a city, we operate this year. Our budget is going to be about $23 million. So $4 million of that is with our streets department. We kind of look at that kind of as like a separate entity. It isn't, but our streets department is funded by state and county turnback funds. And those are funds that are collected for streets, as a whole. And then depending on, your contribution or your percent of those taxes, that's what you receive in return. And that's mainly what we operate our streets department on. And then $19 million goes to fund, again, fire, police, customer development services, which is our planning department, our code enforcement, our inspections, and different things like that. So let's see, fire is our number one expense at a little over $7 million. The police department is our second largest expense. Community development is our third, and then we have our administrative, we have our HR, we have our IT, we have our library. We're not fully responsible for the library. We pay for the heating and air. We pay salaries, and we pay like furniture and things like that. But that is actually run by a foundation, and the building is owned by the foundation. But we have partial responsibility for it. Trying to think if I'm leaving anything out right now. I don't believe so. And as Tom mentioned, we do not have responsibility for water. The POA owns that. Village Wastewater manages, our sewer department, if you will, which is a separate entity, privately held. And let's see, what am I trying to? So those are separate. So it's set up very different here. Okay. So there's our budget. I'm not going to break the budget down like specifically for you, but again, we're about $23 million this year. The revenue that we will collect, projected to be in 2023, is also $23 million. And the county taxes are our number one source of revenue. Property taxes are our number two source of revenue. City sales tax is our number three source of revenue. Franchise fees, which would be things like ATT and Cox, that's our fourth. And then we also collect for ambulance fees, building inspections, solid waste pickup, interest income, et cetera. So our revenue will match our expenses this year projected, okay? We usually don't spend everything we project. We fully fund everything, but due to openings, positions in fire, police, et cetera, I don't know if you would be aware, probably, but we have a lot of turnover in those departments. There's a lot of competition in Northwest Arkansas for fire personnel and police. I would also like to add, as far as our fire police, actually every department I know everyone personally. I worked very hard at it over my tenure. When I was first elected, I didn't know a lot about city government, quite honestly. And once I was elected, I felt a large responsibility to make sure that I got close to everything, knew how everything operated, why it operated like it did, the personnel. And we have, I think, just an incredible staff. For the funding that we have in Bella Vista, Arkansas, versus a Bentonville or a Rogers or a Springdale, I mean, we just don't generate the same level of revenue, not even close, to fund our city. And we have outstanding personnel. We have Mike Button at our streets department, outstanding. We have Doug Tapp as our community development services department. He is really good. We have a wonderful planning staff at community development services. We have Police Chief James Graves, who we sourced from Tucson, Arizona. Outstanding individual. And we have Chief Sims, who's been part of the Bella Vista Fire Department well over 20 years. I want to say 24, maybe even 27 years. So he knows the community very well. And we fund our departments. I mean, we try to give them all the equipment and everything they need to do an outstanding job, which they do. Our fire, I believe, and I called Chief Sims yesterday. I wanted to be sure that I was right on this, but every member of our fire department, our personnel, are EMTs. So they're trained, with a medical background. And I've actually witnessed these people at work a couple of times. My neighbor Jo, been my neighbor for 16 years. She's going to be like 93 years old in like May or June. And she's just a wonderful lady. But you're going to get to that age at some point. And she's had to have, had to call 911 a couple times and come out. The last time was 2 weeks ago, and this was a serious one. But we're right there next door. We have access to her home. We let them in. And I've been able to watch and witness our EMTs in operation. They are wonderful. And not that it would ever make any difference whatsoever, but they don't know me. They don't know I'm on the city council or anything like that. They're just doing their jobs. And they are so kind, and they are so caring. And they are so careful with managing, these people. I'm really proud of them, and I'm really glad that we have them here. So we do have outstanding departments in Bella Vista. We really do, and they're very responsive. I will say this: if anyone ever has an issue or a problem, you don't know where to go, you don't know who to talk to, feel free, to call me. I get phone calls all the time. I get emails all the time. I try to respond to everything. Depends maybe on what I'm doing personally. Sometimes I'm out of town or whatever, but as soon as I get back, I will get in touch with you. And a lot of times I'll call when I'm out on the road, because some of the calls I get are nothing but another phone call from me, because I know everybody. I know who the contacts are. So that's a little bit about the city. Some of the things that we have been able to do over the last few years, some newer than others, but we have essentially a relatively new streets department. It's maybe 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. I don't know if you're aware, because I don't know where everybody lives in the city. If you're on the east side, you may not make it to the west very often, or vice versa. But our streets department, it's a beautiful facility. It's over on 279, just south of Highland Gate. If you're going toward Hiwassee on the left-hand side, we have a new fire station, number 4, which again, it's probably 4 years old, 5 years old now. It is on the south side on 279 of Highland Gate, sets off to your right, a beautiful fire department. We just opened fire station number 3, which replaced the old fire station, which was over by Branchwood. It's a really, really neat looking facility. And what had happened is we did not have an ambulance at old fire station number 3, but when we built a new fire station, now there is a ambulance at that facility. We have our public safety building. I know most of you are probably aware. It's going to officially open, I believe, Monday. The dedication for it will be April the 24th. Of course, that houses our police department, has an indoor firing range. It'll house our district court. District court is something that we didn't have when I was first elected to city council, and Peter Christie enacted that, and we got that done. So we have our own court now, because people used to have to go down to Bentonville. So we have that. Construction is currently underway on our new fire training facility on Highway 71. It's just right up 71. Where the Welcome to Bella Vista sign is, you'll see some work going on back there in the trees, but that's what's taking place there, so we'll have that. City Council just approved to move forward with updating the old fire station number 1 since the police department vacated that building just right over here on Lancashire. I'm sure everybody knows where that is. And it will also continue to house our City Hall offices. But we're going to renovate, and rebuild and redo that whole thing. One time they were maybe thinking about trying to move it somewhere else, but basically what they say, the bones of that building are really good. Structurally, it's a really good building. So we just approved moving forward with hiring an architect. We have a construction manager, et cetera. So we're just early into the burn on that. And trust me, if you've ever been in that facility, it really needs to be updated. I think that building was built in like 1964, 65, somewhere in there. So we're getting ready to do that. We also have basically a rebuild of Mercy Way Bridge. That's going to be 2 lanes each way, and it will also have a pedestrian/biking addition to that, to get pedestrians across that bridge. The state kicked in about $6 million, and the Walton Family Foundation kicked in $1.6 million to build that pedestrian walkway across that. And we also have the bridges that are being rebuilt just right here on Lancashire, but that's a state highway, and the state is responsible for those bridges. So we've done a lot of updating, to our infrastructure. Again, we're continually working on ordinances and et cetera. Okay, I'm gonna see if I missed anything here. Streets, revenue. Something I would like to mention, and I don't know if this gets enough conversation in the city, it's getting more recently, but 77% of Bella Vista is on septic, okay? And some of you that bought homes, I'm sure you're all aware of whether you're on a septic or the sewer, but I just want to say it's really important to manage those septic systems. I've gotten a lot closer to that conversation over the last few months. With the Arkansas Department of Health, they've been involved in another conversation we've been having with the city. But whenever the septic systems are developed and put in for the homes here, typically I believe it's pretty much a requirement. If you put one in, you're going to have your septic field, your line field, right? But you're required to have enough property, land left in case that first field fails to be able to put in a second field. Well, with the way Bella Vista's laid out with all of our individual lots, it just isn't possible. And we have a lot of really small lots here. The Arkansas Department of Health, they're concerned about Bella Vista, right? I mean, they really truly are, the future. If people don't maintain these septic systems, we could find ourselves in a pickle in the future. There could be lots right now that are failing. We don't really know that. Originally when these septic systems were put in, they used metal tanks. Those metal tanks don't last forever. They degrade, they collapse, et cetera. And a lot of people don't know that with these septic systems, there are distribution boxes. You might have 4 lines in your field, but only 2 of them are active, I'm going to call it, and the other 2 are not. And you need to switch that like every 6 months to go from these 2 lines to go to these 2 lines. This sounds like an odd conversation to be having here, but we had a training, an overview of septic out at where the courthouse is now, and I was shocked. I walked in and the room was absolutely packed with residents that want to know more about septic. We've had people live here for 20 years, and they really didn't know they needed to do these things. A lot of the distribution boxes have been covered up over the years. Mine was covered up when I first moved here. My yard was like wet. I'm like, well, what is going on with this, right? And I'm not going to take you through the whole thing, but I had to go to the city. I had to get my diagram for it and find out where everything was. I dug up all around. I finally found the darn thing, and I was able to switch my lines and stuff, which cleared up my problem. But I didn't know anything about septic when I first moved here. So just be aware that if your house has a septic system, manage it. If you don't have anywhere to go with a secondary field, if you need one, the designs for replacing or putting in a septic that will work for your home could be $35,000, $45,000, and that's no joke. So just be aware, okay? New residents. So just so you'll know, we are over 30,000 officially. And in 2020, we received requests for permits to build 417 new homes. In 2021, we received 584 new home permits. And then in 2022, through November, I haven't had any recent updates. Through November, we were at 507. Prior year, in 2021 through November, we were at 547. So we're lagging, 2022 versus 2021 by about 40. And I don't know what 2023 is right now, but Bella Vista has really become a very popular place to live, and people are really looking at us hard, which we're really happy about that. But as far as new homes go, that's where we are. One last thing. When I first moved here, no joke, I'm still just a resident. I live here just like you do. I'm not a whole lot different than you are, right? I live here. I have my friends and my neighbors on the streets and my familiarities and et cetera. But after I moved here, I was a little disappointed in the POA facilities. I really was. I moved here and I'm like, man, infrastructure didn't look good, the buildings didn't look very good, threadbare, the golf shops didn't look very well, the golf courses really were not in really great shape. I'm just telling you, this is my perspective, that's my opinion. I really think the POA has done an outstanding job the last few years under the leadership of Tom and then the staff that he has. Things are they look so much better, just really, really improved. And I feel a whole lot better about things. That's just personally. This is a resident talking right now. I've kind of watched the whole transition take place. And actually, it's one of the things that kind of spurred me on to run for city council, for Bella Vista, to help, with making sure that Bella Vista is on the right track and stays on the right track, moving into the future. So with that, I'll let it go, and we'll turn it over to Selena with the ACC.
Thank you, Tom. Sorry. Can I bring this down? You want to lower it? Yeah, it's in my eyes. Okay, great. Good. All right. Good morning. My name's Selena, and I work at the ACC office. And the ACC, we abbreviate our name because our name's actually Bella Vista Village Architectural Control Committee. So, yes, we prefer ACC. Our duties as far as the ACC goes is we enforce the protective covenants that are attached to your deed on your properties. And we get into more of what things look like, where it's going to go, what color, trying to keep, the natural wood look style that Bella Vista has always been. We have had to, get with the times kind of thing when the trends change and stuff like that. So we always have people that like to ask for a waiver, and we just ask you make appointment with the board for their meetings once a month, and then you can talk to them about the things that you would like to do. Our meetings are not public. Our board prefers that we have that one-on-one time with you and be able to talk with you, and be able to talk with us as far as something you may want to do to your property without there being a lot of people in the background kind of thing. So I know the city is more public, the POA is more public, but we're more private. We've been around since 1970 something, even though the covenants were recorded in 1965. We have the majority of what we call plot plans or surveys for the properties. Those are proposed, but they are nice to have so you know where your property lines are in comparison to where your house is. We do have a lot of information on the septic systems, so if the city doesn't have it, then you can always come to us as well. So, yeah, that's kind of the ACC in a little nutshell there. Yeah, I'm glad to be starting this position and hope that I can, make some changes to improve. And yeah, I look forward to meeting everybody. So yeah, thank you.
We try and keep these meetings at about an hour, so we have about 10 minutes left. Yes.
There's a raffle ticket.
Okay, and we have a raffle to give, some raffles up. So questions, remember, I'm going to repeat the question so that the TV can hear. Yes, her.
Hi, since we moved in about 10 days ago, we have a lot of trash that Republic doesn't seem interested in taking. Is there a transfer station or a dump or something?
Well, regarding trash, because you have a lot that, because you just moved in, first of all, I would encourage you to take as much of that to the recycling center. We have an outstanding recycling center. But with regards to trash, I know that you can get those big bins that they'll come and pick up. I would contact them directly because they're a separate entity from the city and the POA.
Yeah, we take the stuff to cardboard.
The recycling center is outstanding, and a lot of those funds that they raise from the recycling center, they plow right back into the community through charitable donations. So it's pretty neat.
Is there no trash dump, like we can take these plastic bags and dump them off?
We don't have, the city of Bella Vista does not have a trash dump. Yes, ma'am.
Well, there's, Republic has a, I guess called transfer station. It's just right up the road right here. And it's like, you know what, I don't quote in prices. I've actually used it. It's like I saved $140 for the first ton, 2005, and then they prorate it after that. So if you got a pickup and you can take it if you want to, if you have a large, it's just right down here. Yeah, and so, you know, one of the streets off to the west will take you to the animal shelter, and the other one will take you to Village Wastewater and Republic Transfer Station. So that's where that is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that walking path over there on the west side,
Branchwood, yes.
Branchwood. Is there any paved or hard surface bike paths around there?
So the question is about where we have either soft surface or hard surface bike paths. So if you look at your map that we talked about earlier, you can see the dotted lines where the trails are. They're the back 40, which is on the right-hand side or the east side, that was opened up in 2016. And then they moved to the central portion of our community, and that is called Little Sugar, and that opened a couple years ago. But there's no trails on the west side or the left side of your map. That trail, that walking trail, is really for walking. It's not for bikes or anything to that nature. And that's the only thing that we have with that regard on the far west side. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Are there any plans to develop more trails over that way?
Questions about development of future plans. It's possible. Keep in mind that all these trails have been funded through the Walton Family Foundation, and so it really depends upon whether they are interested or not. They have a lot of activity going on in neighboring cities and so forth. So I haven't heard anything new of recent. Any other questions? Well, you guys are, yes, sir.
Any plans to put in signals that coming out of the Ozarks down to the main highway? Those are concession roads there. We're new residents, but.
Okay. New traffic signals? I don't know anything about traffic
There's
signals.
not been any conversation about it recently.
Here, you want to talk? You want to talk?
Referring to?
You want to talk into here?
And we haven't had any conversations recently. What road are you speaking of?
Up off of,
We live on Overton, and then when you come down, it's
yeah,
pretty
we come
much
down
a lot
from
of
the Ozarks
traffic.
to the
They
main
get
drag.
You mean, are you on the west side? So you're talking about like Oldham or Sunset, somewhere in there?
No, Overton and Hampstead.
Overton. Oh, in Hampton. Oh, no. I mean, we haven't had any conversation, no. We did, put one in at Kingswood, right, because that one was really dangerous because of that curve right there. I mean, I could have a conversation with Mayor Flynn about it. And talk to, yeah, I take it all the time. When I cut through to go up, like going to Eureka Springs and stuff, so I'm aware. But no conversations right now. Okay.
Anything else? Great. Well, we'll do the raffle. All right. Why don't you pick one?
Has everybody turned in, does everybody have a blue ticket before we start doing this? Everybody's got a raffle ticket?
Right. What are we giving? I don't even know what we're giving out. Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm going to read the last three numbers. I'll read the whole thing because I don't know if they're in the same. Yeah, the last three numbers. 434. Here we go. How many do we have, Deborah? 6. Okay. 441. 464. 454. Okay, we have 2 to go. One on each side. 439. 439. 444. And the last one, 440. Well, there we go. Thank you all so much for attending. I really appreciate it. The three of us will hang out for a little bit. If you have any private questions you want to ask, enjoy the rest of the day.